This is the Kante 17.3 inch diameter cylindrical planter with organic texture, available on Amazon. I had purchased the onyx black version, and I have to say the color isn't what I necessarily expected. Online it does really look gray. However, I expected that because it is called onyx black, I assumed that they had just kind of photoshopped the photos to, you know, look a little bit more gray so that you could better see the texture on it. But I expected that probably it would be more of a true black, since onyx black, I verified this, is generally considered a deep, rich, and often cool-toned black. This isn't a deep or rich black. It is cool-toned. But anyway, that's the first thing that I observe about this. You should expect it to be true to the photos on Amazon. Don't pay too much attention to the name that is used, the onyx black name. Second thing I want to point out about this, and this is really a much bigger issue, there is supposed to be a drainage hole, and I guess this is it. I can't punch through the drainage hole. I think that they intended to create one for two reasons. One is they advertise it. This is one of the main features you're supposed to get. It says drainage system or flower pot, strategically placed drainage hole for efficient water management. The second is that they actually included these inside. Well, it's not these, it's just this one piece, right? So you're supposed to be able to plug in this one piece. But look inside, it is really sealed up. You can tell right there, though, it's not fully sealed. It looks like there's little tiny cracks right there in the center. You can see where light is going through those cracks. So this is not watertight. However, it is also not, it's not really open. It's not a real drainage hole, so you can't really have water drain in that. You know, the water isn't going to come out of the pot efficiently. So it's kind of stuck in this very nasty middle where you can't use this pot the way it's intended, and you can't use it the way it's not intended either. What I did bring out for this video is a screwdriver, and the only way I can imagine that they expect you to get your drainage hole is to poke through this middle portion. So I'm going to attempt that in this video, and we'll see if that is even possible. But I'm pushing this in with my screwdriver, and nothing. Okay, well, okay. I was going to complain that nothing is happening, but in fact, it did happen. Okay, so there you go. You have a drainage hole. So that's no longer a big issue. Kind of odd that there were no instructions to explain that, or that the manufacturer didn't just complete the process of removing that. In my opinion, since they advertised the drainage system, they should have, you know, finished completing the hole. I thought I might break it. I thought I was dealing with something that was more sturdy. But anyway, that came out. I brushed off all of the styrofoam using a microfiber cloth, and I just basically, you know, did this until all the styrofoam was off of it. Since usually it's pretty hard to rub any kind of cloth on something that is this rough. It's not rough enough where it's going to cut your finger, so don't worry about that. But I also didn't want the cloth particles to start coming off on here, so that's why I kind of used this technique to knock off these little fibers that you see here. So anyway, there's the pot. There is the fiddle leaf fig that I plan to use the pot with, and I have to say it looks nice. It is a good value for the money spent. $135 for a pretty big pot that actually looks organic and natural. It doesn't look like it's kind of plastic and printed. That's a pretty good deal, actually. You can find pots that are a few $100s that look about the same. I also want to show you for reference, Alexa, bedroom bright. This is a pot that I got from West Elm, and I think I paid, I don't want to say, I forgot what it was, but it was $100+ I think for this. Maybe it was right around $100. It looks kind of plasticky in person. Like I said, it's from West Elm. I'll put the link in the description so you can see it. But, you know, it looks cool online. It looks cool in the pictures online. But in person, my partner's opinion of it was that it doesn't look good. It looks like plastic. It looks fake. So that's kind of a crushing assessment when you spent $100 on a pot. So that is one reason I'm actually pretty happy with this new pot compared to this other pot. Also, I want to show you this West Elm pot has a line right here in it. And you can't just hide this like it's the ugly side of the pot because there are 3 lines. There's one line here, and then, whoops. There's one line here, and then there's one line on the other side. I'm not gonna turn it because my plant might need some help before I do that. But anyway, suffice it to say, for $100 for a smaller pot on West Elm, it looks more fake than this $135 pot that feels truly very natural and organic, and is larger. Usually you have to pay substantially more for a larger pot. So, you know, usually you'd expect on West Elm type prices, this would be $200+ for a 17.3 inch pot. So I am probably one of the first customers to buy this because I don't see any reviews here on Amazon. I knew that I was taking a bit of a risk buying something that hasn't been reviewed before, and you can't see any customer pictures. And overall, I have to say, I'm pretty satisfied. It does look like the photos that they showed. It's good value. They should poke the hole for you, but if they don't, it wasn't hard to do it with the screwdriver. I guess one final thing I can do before I wrap up my video is actually put in that plug. So I'm gonna go ahead and try sealing this off and see if that works. Well, I'm glad I tested this on the video. It's hard, guys. It's not easy. So I guess I have to do a little bit more work. And I have to say, this material is quite rigid. It's not like it just falls apart like it's some kind of styrofoam. And I also hate to like start breaking apart the product. So I do wish that they had finished their product, you know, that they had cut the dang hole out fully so that as a customer, all I have to do is simply put in the whole plug and we're good to go. Because this whole plug is not put in, even though I'm clearly straining to try and get it to fit in there. No luck. Man, I was really looking forward to giving a really positive review of this, but I guess I can't do that yet. This plug, it should be on the inside. It should not be down here, I'm pretty sure. But someone in the comments can, I guess, fact check me on that if I'm wrong. Maybe it is supposed to be on the bottom, because it certainly wasn't working inside, so maybe it's supposed to work outside. My concern is if I'm moving this on the floor, 1, it could slide off. 2, it could rub against my floor and damage my floor with you know, the color of the rubber coming off on the carpet. 3, I kind of feel like I need some sort of I need something to protect my carpet, I think, if I'm gonna have this directly on it, because what if this one thing fails and then water comes gushing out or something like that? So I don't think I could trust this if I had to. But supposedly I assume it's supposed to fit like that, and then you're supposed to shut it. And Honestly, I think it probably fell off as I did that. No, it's still on. It's on a little bit weakly, maybe. Like it would fall right out. But I guess that's how it's supposed to be. You set it there, and then you basically don't move it too much so it doesn't fall off. Maybe you can push it down like this. Huh. All right, not bad. I will say with a decorative pot like this, what a lot of people would do is they would put inside it a little like service tray. So like a little plastic thing that holds the water, and then you put your nursery pot on top of that, and then you periodically lift out your plant. Like every week you lift out your plant, and then you empty the little plastic tray of water, dump it in your sink, then put that back down, then put the plant down on top of it. That way the water drains from this nursery pot into the little plastic tray. And then because the plastic tray is holding the water, you just treat this as a purely decorative pot. It looks great and seamless and stuff on your floor, but you don't rely on this for drainage. It's just purely decorative. The other option is to remove that hole, and then you'd put a saucer underneath the pot. It's not quite as seamless if you want the full seamless look that I think you see in a lot of architecture renders. It's not as seamless, but it's also not too big of a deal to have a saucer down here that collects the water that drains out. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it yet. Anyway, that's my overly long, spontaneous review of the Kante 17.3 inch diameter cylindrical planter. Pretty good value and looks nice. I'm happy with it for $135.